Hey everyone, Andrew here from New Hope Community Bikes in Hamilton, Ontario, back from the Ice Road Challenge. And oh man, what an event. We had 39 riders sign up to do the ride, and our goal was to ride 110 kilometers from Red Lake in Northern Ontario into Pikangikum First Nation. A trip you can only do by bike in the winter because there's a frozen ice road that'll get you there. All other times of year you have to either fly in or boat in. So it was pretty exciting to be able to actually ride our bikes into Pikangikum as a fundraiser for the bike program that's been going there for the last 2 years. So a group of us met at the Toronto airport on Thursday morning. We flew out at 8 o'clock. Our flight was delayed because of some de-icing and the nasty weather down here in southern Ontario. But after a 2-hour flight, we were in Thunder Bay and we boarded a coach bus that took us to Red Lake. We had a buffet dinner of pizza and pasta, fueling up on carbs for the next day's ride. And then we jumped over to our hotel where we had a reception with the Red Lake community. The mayor was there to give us a welcoming address and give us a bit of historical geographical context. And then we were able to thank some of our sponsors and explain what we'd been doing in Pikangikum with the bike program for the last 2 years. So that was a great little event to kind of kick off the whole Ice Road Challenge, and it allowed us to meet even more people in the community. So Friday morning we woke up and it was minus 39 with the wind chill. A little bit colder than we've been expecting, especially when earlier in the week the long-term forecast said that it was only going to be maybe minus 10, minus 15, but minus 39 was much colder than we were expecting. And unfortunately, we had an emergency management plan that said if it was below minus 25, we needed to alter the route or alter the time that people were going to be outside in the cold. So that's exactly what we did, rather than setting off on our ride, which we actually couldn't do because the bus wouldn't start. So our starting point was going to be 15 kilometers out of town, but we couldn't get there because the bus wouldn't start. So instead, we did a shorter ride from downtown Red Lake across the lake and on ice and into the Red Lake Airport, where we warmed up in the terminal, and then we were able to go out and ride down the runway, which is really cool because it was wide enough for everybody to ride all together abreast. So we had 40 riders wide cruising down the airport runway, which was a pretty cool experience. After that, we headed back down to Red Lake, back across the ice road. And I mean, this ice road was glare ice. You could have skated on it. So we had a bunch of people wiping out. I know I did a shoulder check, quick look over my shoulder to see who was behind me, and I was down on the ground in no time at all. Felt more like a curling rock. I just kind of slid and kept going. I didn't get hurt. We did have one person fall and break their collarbone, unfortunately, during that ride, but they were a good sport about it. They managed to get a ride into Pikangikum later and join us for all the events and stuff along the way. So we went back to the hotel at lunchtime on Friday, warmed up again, tweaked our gear, threw on more clothes, wore less clothes depending on whether we were hot and cold. By that point, the bus was able to be running and we were off to a shortened ride into Pikangikum. So we took the bus about 60 kilometers down the Nungesser Road, which is the road that leads to the Pikangikum turnoff. And at that point, we had a rest stop. We expected it was going to be 32 kilometers to the rest stop and then another 18 kilometers after that. Unfortunately, we had some miscommunications and it was actually another 32 kilometers into Pikangikum from that rest stop. At that point, it was 4:30 p.m. and we had to make quick work of the last 32 kilometers because we were very quickly losing our light. So everyone set off, they rode as hard as they could, and they really made the best of the situation. It was getting darker and colder, but people kept smiling, kept riding. We finally reached the last 4 kilometers of the ride, which is a section of ice over the Barons River and Lake Pikangikum into the community, and it was pretty special to be able to see the lights in the distance and see them getting closer and closer, and we just rode as hard as we could right into the downtown, or the the core of the community there. Then we headed up to the school, and we were greeted by cheers and celebration from the community. There was a bunch of kids there. The kids had made all kinds of art with bicycles and all kinds of different posters welcoming us there, which we were so thrilled to receive. And then we had a big dinner, and shortly after the dinner we were welcomed with some drumming and some dancing that just really welcomed us into the community, and we were so appreciative to receive that reception. So yeah, that was kind of the evening. We all slept in the gym that night, and then woke up the next morning, took our time kind of getting ready, and then we did a ride around the community. We brought everyone who was on the ride with us to show them different parts, the northern store, where the airport was, what some of the housing looks like, as well as to check out the actual shipping container bike shop that we had helped create and send up there just about 2 years ago. So it was really neat to be able to bring everyone into that space and say, this is what you've been fundraising for, and this is what we've been able to accomplish, and this is what we're going to do with the funding. So we were able to see those kids and be able to commit that they're going to have summer employment in the bike shop because of the money that we've fundraised. And 6 of the bikes that were actually ridden into the community will stay there. And so now there's fat bikes for the bike program in Pikangikum, and as well as 4 plus size tire bikes that will also be great for the younger kids to ride and get out in the snow and ride if they want to. So that was a pretty great way to experience Pikangikum and share that community with all the riders. And then we jumped on a school bus and headed back out on the ice road back towards Red Lake. We got to the cutoff, and at which time we had to actually switch school buses because the school bus from Pikangikum didn't actually have any license plates, so it couldn't go on the actual municipal road. It had to stop when the Pikangikum road finished. And so then another school bus came up from Red Lake and met us there, and they donated that driver and the time and the bus, and they drove people back to within 25 kilometers of Red Lake, and we finished our ride back across that ice road by the airport into Red Lake to make up a total of about 120 kilometers of riding. So nothing really went as planned. We could have done many different things differently, but we rolled with it. We constantly had to adjust our timelines and our expectations, and I think we really did a good job of ensuring that everyone was having a fun time, ensuring that everyone was safe, and in the end we got to ride 35 kilometers of ice, whereas in the original plan, if we had have stuck to that route, it would have only been 5 kilometers of ice. So it was really cool that we got to ride even more ice in the Ice Road Challenge, and really experience that unique opportunity. So those are just a few of my thoughts. I mean, I could go on for a long time about all the different stories and all the different great people that we had involved, but that's all going to come out a little bit later in a documentary that's going to be put together. So I won't spoil any of those stories now. Just want to say thank you to everyone who supported the ride. I mean, over $50,000 fundraised for the program is incredible. Double the support that we thought we would have, and it was just tremendous to see people from the Red Lake community, even the people in Pikangikum. They did a floor hockey fundraiser and raised over $700 just for the bike program itself. So they were able to give us that gift when we got there. So really great to have everyone on board and to meet lots of new friends and share that, life-changing or memorable life experience with everybody. So thanks for your support, thanks for being part of it, and look forward to sharing more stories as they come out. Thanks.